the appeal of Governor Boyega Oyetola of the All Progressives Congress in Osun State against the victory of Ademola Adeleke at the Election Tribunal. Olabode Arewa reports that the appellate court's decision followed a dissenting judgment of 4-1.
The five-man panel of appeal court justices examined 13 issues raised by the counsel to Boyega Oyetola on the decision of the Election Petition Tribunal. In the lead judgment, the court held that Adeleke failed to prove allegations of overvoting in 17 polling units during the said election. The appellate court asserted that the tribunal erred in amending Adeleke's petition and voiding some votes before declaring Adeleke as the winner. The court also held that the absence of Justice Peter Obiora during the tribunal's proceedings on the 6th of February 2019 and his consequent participation in reviewing and reading of the judgment voided the tribunal's judgment. The court consequently dismissed the objections of Ademola Adeleke and the PDP to the appeal.
We are happy that today the minority judgment of the tribunal has become the majority judgment of the Court of Appeal. And we believe that this is another new dawn in our democratic journey.
We still have the right of appeal to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land. We are not satisfied with the majority judgment as delivered, and we are exercising our right of appeal to the Supreme Court for the final determination of this issue of Osun State governorship election as said in 2018.
While Justice Jumai Sankey delivered the lead judgment, Justice George Mbaba delivered a dissenting judgment on the case. Meanwhile, there was jubilation on the streets of Osogbo following the judgment. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Still on the judgment, there was wild jubilation in Osogbo following the declaration of Court of Appeals sitting in Abuja, which upheld the election of Mr. Boyega Oyetola as the governor of Osun State. The governor was among the crowd who sang victory songs across the streets of the state capital. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party says the party and its candidate in the Osun State governorship election, Senator Ademola Adeleke, will retrieve the mandate at the Supreme Court. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondiyan, in a statement explains that it is not in any way shaken by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, but stands in confidence that the justice and respect for the will of the people of Osun State will definitely prevail at the Supreme Court. And now to other matters, the Federal Executive Council has approved a robust plan of action towards putting an end to open defecation in the country by the year 2025. Consequently, an ambition to clean Nigeria campaign is soon to be launched by President Muhammadu Buhari, who has also agreed to serve alongside other members of the council at first-level ambassadors towards leadership and commitment for its successful implementation. Water Resources Minister Sulaiman Adamu announced this while briefing newsmen after the council's meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that far-reaching measures have also been taken towards boosting revenue collection, curtailing smuggling activities, and enhancing critical infrastructure for economic growth and development.
As the Federal Executive Council winds down its activities under the Buhari administration's first tenure of office, it is indeed a race against time. This informed a nearly 10-hour-long meeting which considered more than 20 memoranda from ministries, departments and agencies. Amongst them is the one seeking to end open defecation in the country.
India plans to declare itself open defecation free by 2nd October this year, 2019. And once that happens, Nigeria is the #1 country in the world that practices open defecation. You all agree with me that this is an honor we do not want to have.
Although Nigeria recently declared a state of emergency on water and sanitation sector, so far only 10 out of the 774 local governments are open defecation free. Describing this as unacceptable, the council approved a number of measures, including the proposed launch of what it calls Clean Nigeria, Use the Toilet campaign.
We also hope to create a Clean Nigeria movement and to harmonize ministerial activities so that we have a seamless policies regarding sanitation in the country. We also requested for an annual budget of about 10.6 billion to be approved.
Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed, on her part, secured the Council's approval of 970.2 million naira for the acquisition of residential accommodation for staff of the Nigeria Customs Service, as well as another 247.9 million naira for modern communication gadgets towards enhancing end-to-end encryption of message delivery by the service, devoid of any tapping by smugglers and their cohorts.
The need has become necessary because of the renewed onslaught by the Nigerian Customs Service on smuggling as well as on other economic activities.
Also approved is 710 million naira for an automated project lighthouse aimed at aggregating, centralizing, and analyzing nationwide taxpayer data information.
The system will enable us to see a 360-degree view of the tax situation of any taxpayer. At the end of the day, what this will do is it will help us to improve on our tax revenue collection efforts, both at the federal as well as at the state level.
In the area of infrastructure, the Council approved a 1.8 billion naira secondary road contract linking Dangara to Yaba in Kwali Area Council of the FCT, as well as another project for the supply of heavy-duty equipment for the Department of Development Control.
These equipments are used by Development Control to affect needed adjustments to buildings and structures that have contravened set regulations, particularly the Abuja Master Plan.
For the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, we had two interventions today. The first was on behalf of NNPC, and that was for the award of a contract to provide a pipeline to supply gas to East and West Corridor and be able to link onto the OB3 contract that has already been awarded. The significance of that, obviously, is that the more we can gather gas that is essential to feedstock the pipelines that we're building, the easier it will be for us to create that hub that we're looking for to move gas around the corridors of Nigeria, north, south, east, west, as the case may be.
The Federal Executive Council has also granted approval for the purchase of water tankers and tenders for the FCT Fire Service, as well as a fire service truck for the just completed 17-story headquarters building of the Nigerian Content Monitoring Board in Bayelsa State. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Let's now talk health and science. The 20th National Scientific Conference organized by the Advocacy in Child and Family Health Project with the theme Task Shifting and Task Sharing Policy Implementation in the context of primary health care focuses on equitable distribution of healthcare services and more training institutions in Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu has details.
Nigeria has over the years been challenged with high rates of child maternal mortality and other negative health indices, mostly due to death of health professionals.
There is no facility or no clinic that have enough staff.
Statistics show 20 doctors, nurses and midwives attend to 10,000 Nigerians. As WHO reports, 70% of the rural populace has no access to healthcare services, making the country second in terms of inadequate number of medical practitioners in Africa. This informed the federal government's launch of task shifting and task sharing policy in 2014 to shift tasks from the overburdened health workers to those that are less burdened but capable.
And that is why we also have two-way referral, that areas they cannot operate, they can also refer and then get information back.
Facilities are being manned by trained people, and at the same time, we try to reduce maternal and child death in those areas.
However, implementation of this policy, the forum believes, has not conformed to the goal of primary health care under one roof.
It is expected that the skills of community practitioners are maximally and optimally improved.
The meeting with states' permanent secretaries of the Ministry of Health is geared towards attainment of universal health coverage targets. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is now promoting smart initiatives in the country, basically to grow smart-enabled resources and build a vibrant smart data economy. In line with this objective, the National Information Technology Development is now creating an enabling environment to support a variety of self-grown smart innovations from the Nigeria Smart Initiative Policy Framework, now presented for stakeholders' engagement. Justin Bemoyim reports.
It is believed that Nigeria cannot rely on meeting her national vision on sustainable economic development through the conventional policies, approaches and tools. Consequently, relevant stakeholders are of the opinion that the nation needs to make the best use of our innovative potential through a well-thought-out Nigeria Smart Policy Framework for promoting smart initiatives.
The future of the world economy.
The experts are now saying the development and use of smart solutions and applications are capable of increasingly creating unimaginable values and disrupting every aspect of society with innovations that improve human existence.
Smart initiatives is all about digital economy.
For the federal government, the imperative here is that Nigeria cannot continue to run a catching-up race in this critical sector.
And the wisdom behind coming up with this framework is to make sure that first and foremost, we provide a platform for research and development in smart initiatives, in addition to creating awareness.
And there is a desire to see homegrown smart initiatives become an integral part of Nigerian development agenda. This is in helping the society to be more responsive to social needs in critical sectors such as security, environment, health, and education. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. Stay tuned, more reports ahead after this time out.
If you travel around the world, you will find out that there is no place like Nigeria. Beautiful, peaceful, very warm and friendly climate all year round. Largest concentration of black people in the world. Hospitable, vibrant and happy people. There is no place like Nigeria. A land of opportunities. The biggest window in the world of business and investments. Extremely rich in multicultural diversity. There is no place like Nigeria.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, efforts towards sustainable peace and security in Nigeria in the West African sub-region will remain a mirage if the youths are still perceived as perpetrators of violence, insurgency, and other security issues. This was the submission of speakers at a Continental Study for Youths program in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Young people within the age brackets of 18 and 35 are often the main tool for the perpetration of criminal and political violence, communal clashes, and many other security issues, a development that presents youths largely in a bad light. These youths, drawn mainly from the West African sub-region, converged on Abuja to exchange knowledge towards ensuring that their contributions are not forgotten or go unrecognized without due accords to the positive role they play in national, regional, and continental peace and security efforts.
Now is to prevent and to manage conflicts and security threats in West Africa.
Minister of Youths and Sports Development Solomon Dalung and his foreign affairs counterparts Geoffrey Oyama in their messages wants youths as leaders of tomorrow to protect their future.
Particularly those with us today must be engaged and involved in the broader social change processes to transform violence into peace.
Our leaders, both political and religious groups, should invest more resources, time and energy to harness the best potentials from this youth.
When they are idle, they actually get involved in all sorts of conflicts.
Youths need to know their rights and responsibilities. This way they will not be exploited by politicians, and through this we will be able to maintain peace.
Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Now to electoral matters. Ahead of the rerun of the legislative elections in Guinea, the country's Independent National Electoral Commission is sustaining consultations with critical stakeholders with a view to ensuring transparency, credible and peaceful elections. This as part of the report presented to the ECOWAS Parliament at the ongoing ordinary session in Abuja. Joseph Orok reports.
The ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament is taking place at a time the sub-region is being destabilized by armed terrorists and socio-political crises, especially in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Togo, Guinea-Bissau, and Nigeria. This notwithstanding, the Member of Parliament from Guinea says the country will not relent in efforts to strengthen cooperation with friendly member countries to sustain peace and stability of the sub-region.
The current public security situation has led the government of Guinea to put in place proactive strategies to deal with multifaceted and multidimensional threats, as well as capacity building strategies.
The Member of Parliament from Niger says, despite efforts by governments and the Joint Multinational Task Force, the country continues to suffer attacks by terrorists and Boko Haram. The country report, as presented by the three countries, centered largely on human rights, political and socio-economic situation, security, as well as the status of implementation of the ECOWAS projects and programs. In Abuja, Joseph Orok, NTA News.
Now to maritime issues. To further ensure sustainable economic development in the country through effective and efficient transport initiative, the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria has brought an advocacy on the matter to the management of the Nigerian Television Authority. Members of the council are advocating the import of freight forwarding on business environment and its benefits to the citizens. Olayin Kaujo tells us more.
Due to the federal government's commitment aimed at increasing efficiency, improved transparency and adding value to the economy of the nation, the World Bank Logistics Performance Index some time ago ranked Nigeria 110 out of 160 countries in trade logistics. To create efficient coordination as well as solicit the support of the leading media organization are some of the reasons the council members visited the management of the NTA.
One prayer you must make is that you don't fall, if you import things, that you don't fall into the hands of a quack freight forwarder. Yeah, because your goods will never be forwarded.
Being a media establishment that believes strongly in capacity building and making Nigeria a global voice in the community of freight forwarding nations, Executive Director Engineering Stephen Moses Opanachi said, NTA, through its program and news, will assist in the dissemination of information that will further broaden the understanding.
We're any organization that has no regulation or profession, then there is no control. Ensure that the purpose of your creation becomes relevant to Nigerians.
The act establishing the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria was enacted in 2007. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Time now to talk business, and Musa Baba Aliu is standing by.
China is providing Nigeria with $1.902 billion loan facility for railway and deep-sea port projects. Export-Import Bank of China and the China Development Bank are to provide the loan. The federal government is providing counterpart funds of $314 million for the two projects. Commercial Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in Lagos says more than 10,000 foreign and local employees will be engaged in the execution of the projects. And South Africa and South Sudan have signed an oil exploration and production agreement with South Africa to finance Juba's nascent petroleum industry that has almost stalled as a result of conflict. The countries are now in talks to set up a 60,000 barrel per day refinery to supply oil products to the local market in South Sudan, as well as to secure export to Ethiopia and other neighboring countries. In another news, Uganda has sealed a deal to export medical marijuana products to Canada and Germany worth $10,000. About 20 companies have applied requesting to grow marijuana for medical purposes. However, production, distribution, marketing and consumption of marijuana remains a crime in most African countries, including Nigeria.
Now to legislative matters. Senate has confirmed the nomination of Abike Dabiri Erewa for appointment as chairman and chief executive officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. This followed the presentation of the report of its commission on diaspora and non-governmental organizations, which described the nominee as well experienced and fit for the office. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari has written Senate requesting confirmation of the appointment of Godwin Emefiele as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Senate has also passed the Federal Capital Territory Hospital Management Board Establishment Bill. And still on legislative matter, the House of Representatives has passed a bill to establish Abuja Geographic Information Agency. Other bills passed by the House at Thursday's plenary include a bill to establish Nigerian Council for Psychologists, as well as bills to establish Federal University of Agriculture, Dandin Kowa in Gombe, and Federal College of Education, Mungunu in Borno State. Meanwhile, the HADA committee set up to ascertain the proceeds of the Treasury single account in order to enhance transparency and accountability has submitted its report. Details of this will come in our subsequent bulletin. Now, Burkina Faso's president has sacked the governors of 4 regions attacked by Islamic extremists. Justin Bim Oyin reports that the West African country has suffered from increasingly frequent and deadly attacks attributed to a number of jihadist groups.
Kabore appointed new governors in 5 of the country's 13 regions, including 4 in the north, the east, the Sahel, and the central north, which have been targeted by jihadists. In a statement that came after a cabinet meeting, the new governors named at the weekly government meeting are mostly civilian administrators or officers in the armed forces like their predecessors. The past 4 years have seen a major outbreak of violence by jihadists. A curfew has been imposed since March in the eastern and central eastern regions, while an anti-terrorist operation is on hand to dislodge the armed extremists from hideouts. Faced with an unprecedented number of jihadist attacks, Burkinabe authorities in February launched a major overhaul of military leadership and appointed a series of officers to senior ranks in the army. The violence was initially concentrated in the north, but then the capital Ouagadougou in the center was targeted with other regions. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
And that's the news that is our audience international. Thank you so much for watching.